Hello, everybody. How goes it? First, I would like to take a moment to congratulate our new Chief of the Capitol Police, Matthew Verderosa. The Capitol Police has a tremendous responsibility to protect the members, the staff, the press, and all the visitors here on Capitol Hill. Chief Verderosa brings to this post decades of experience in federal law enforcement, starting as a beat cop and working his way up to assistant chief. He has the trust and the confidence of the police board, and therefore he has mine as well. I also want to thank outgoing Chief Dine for his service to our country and to this Capitol complex. I want to commend all the men and women of the Capitol Police, and they go above and beyond for us every day. I've gotten to know them very closely in this post, and it's just amazing what they do for us each and every day. And all of us who work here in the Capitol should show and express our signs of gratitude. Second, I want to talk about oversight. Good oversight is essential to protecting taxpayers and preventing executive overreach. Just this week, the Appropriations Committee held a hearing to press the VA Inspector General on the poor care our veterans are receiving. Members of Congress filed an amicus brief to support the states in their effort to stop the president's war on coal. Natural Resources held a hearing on the Puerto Rico debt crisis. Energy and Commerce announced that it will hold a hearing on the Zika virus next week. The Select Panel on Infant Lives announced that it will hold its first hearing next week. And because the work of our Armed Services Committee, the president was forced to reveal his plan to try and transfer terrorist detainees to American soil. That's just half a dozen examples of things we're doing each and every day here in the House Republican Caucus to hold this administration accountable for the American people. Now, of course, we're focused on not just being an opposition party. We are focused on being a proposition party. That's why this week we are taking the next steps in developing a bold agenda that we will present to the American people. Our task forces are releasing their mission statements that will lay out the goals and the principles which will guide their work. And we are holding forums for our members to offer their ideas. This is truly a bottom-up process. If you go to speaker.gov/ConfidentAmerica, you can read the mission statements and track the progress of this project. With so much at stake this fall, we need to unite conservatives around a bold agenda that we can give the country a clear choice. You will hear me say this all year long. We don't like the track the country is going on. Most people agree with us. We feel obligated to offer the American people a very clear and compelling choice so they get to decide the direction the country is going to head, and we want to offer a better way forward, and that's what this is all about. With that, be happy to take your questions.
Just want to get your thoughts right now as to the presidential race. As far as, it looks like Trump is well on his way to perhaps getting the nomination. And if that comes to be, it seems like he's in sort of opposition as to where you are, whether it's free trade, whether it's the domestic energy. He wants to colonize Iraq's oil reserves. You're sort of in opposition to that. I'd like to get your thoughts on that as to how he could perhaps unite the Republican agenda as far as your...
Kerry, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so Kerry, I've said 100 times we're going to be able to work with whoever our nominee is. We're going to be able to present a unified front. That's my anticipation, whoever the nominee is going to be. I've also said 100 times I'm not going to comment on what's up and what's down in the day-to-day of the presidential election contest. That primary's well on its way. It's got a long ways to go, but we're going to be able to work with whoever our nominee is. What I'm really focused on is this agenda project. I'm focused on getting this place working. I'm focused on regular order. I'm focused on a bottom-up approach to running Congress the way I think the founders intended Congress to be run. And we're very excited about going on offense on ideas by offering the country a very clear and compelling choice, and that's pretty much where mind and attention is. Yeah.
Can I get at that in maybe a different way?
You want me just to replay what I just said?
You said you want to give the country a choice, but how can you present that choice when your nominee potentially has no interest in pursuing any of the policies that you're outlining?
We'll cross these bridges when we get to it, but I do believe that we will be able to unify as a party, and I believe whoever our nominee is going to be, we'll be able to find a way to make a unified front work. And by the way, Congress will have our own ideas, and that's what we do. We're Republicans. We all have individual ideas, and we gravitate from the same principles, and we'll be applying those principles and offering people a choice. And I'm very excited about that project here in Congress. And like I said, whoever our nominee is, I'm sure we'll find a way of working together.
Mr. Speaker, a lot of people think think that the reason there's this dissonance in the electorate, both on the Democratic and the Republican side, is because people here in Washington overpromised. They saw that with the Tea Party movement in 2010. I know we're still trying to deal with health care and so on.
Right.
But when you talk about laying out these broad strokes of agenda, you said, you know, many of these things we might not be able to pass this year. But isn't that the problem? I understand the mechanics of not passing, but isn't that kind of
You're right about that,
leading these voters down that primrose path again, and they say, look, here you go again.
Yeah, so I find half the time, whether it's Lincoln Days or listening sessions, kind of explaining the way our Constitution works, giving civics lessons. Some people may have led others to believe that just with Congress we can rewrite laws, or just with Congress we can overturn laws we didn't like. You got to remember, President Obama came in with a supermajority. He came in his first term, half of his first term, Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House, Harry Reid was the majority leader with 60 votes in the Senate. And they were able to cram through a liberal progressive agenda on an unsuspecting country, and the rest is, as we say, a history. Then in 2010 and 2014, the American people pushed a Republican Congress back into the majorities in the House and the Senate. Now, we're doing everything the Constitution allows us to keep this administration honest, to hold them accountable, to stop bad ideas from getting worse and following forward. But at the end of the day, if we're going to pass laws repealing and replacing Obamacare, fixing all those problems with Dodd-Frank, whatever it is, we need to pass a bill through the House, through the Senate, pass the filibuster in most cases, and then we need a president to sign it into law. That is how our system works. That is what a constitutional republic functions like. And so this is why our agenda project is so important. And this is why the conversation we have to have with our fellow countrymen is, if you want to break this gridlock we have, liberal progressive president, conservative Congress, we need the country to settle this for us. We need the country in the election in 2016 to break this impasse so that we can actually get these into law. A lot of people, myself included, are extremely frustrated. We're extremely frustrated because we think the country's on the wrong path and that the president is leading the country in the wrong path. But we need a president that we can work with to pass new laws to put us on the right path. And that is why the kind of conversation we're having with the country, look, the whole thing is up for grabs. Supreme Court, Congress, presidency. If you don't like the direction America's headed, then you need to change these things. You need to fix these things. You need to help us get us on the right path, and we owe you, our fellow citizens, a better way forward, and that's what we're going to do.
But it sounds like your agenda shouldn't necessarily be these policy things. It should be civics lessons. I mean, you said that a couple of times. You said it on our air, but that seems to be the disconnect.
Sure, but again, we need a president that will sign good bills into law and not a president that will thwart our efforts like we have right now, or a president signing bad bills into law with a bad Congress.
Francine Kiefer, the Christian Science Monitor. Following up on Chad's question, what's your view on what accounts for the establishment candidate, anti-establishment candidates, the Trumps and so on? What is behind that? And you just mentioned, well, we need a Republican president, but we don't always get, the trifecta. See, we have divided government a lot.
I know.
So, does Congress have is Congress some of the reason the dysfunction we've
I'm
had?
not going to get into the presidential election because
because
that's not my role, is to get into commenting on the presidential election. But Barack Obama had the trifecta with Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi. And he passed through an agenda that is far to the left of where the American people are. And he passed through an agenda that I believe is giving us this stagnant economy, that is keeping wages down, that has made America weaker on a foreign policy front, that is harming our military, that is not helping us get the kind of economic growth we need to get people out of poverty. So that's the agenda that he was able to pass into place when he had a full Congress. We think that's the wrong way to go. And so we believe we owe it to our constituents, to our fellow countrymen and women, to offer them a better way forward, and that is exactly what our agenda project is all about. But this is Congress. We don't sign bills into law. We write the laws and pass them to the president to be signed. We need a president that we can work with to put these reforms in law to get our country back on the right track.
So what's going on with your discussions with Chairman Price and the budget?
Thank you for another subject. It's the same thing we typically do every year. We're about a month ahead of schedule, so we feel good with our timeline. Chairman Price and the leader, Mr. Kevin McCarthy, are going around and meeting with the various committee chairs. Every time you write a budget resolution, it affects the jurisdiction of all the other committees. So they're having those kinds of conversations. So the listening sessions on our budgets, I did probably 30 of these when I was budget chair just about every year. He's having listening sessions with our members. We're gaining input, and we're talking with the various committees about how we can put together a budget resolution, and we're pretty well on track with those kinds of conversations.
You feel confident you'll pass the budget now?
You know, it's going to be up to the members. We're going to have a conference where Tom Price will lay out a plan, and like I said, I'm not the top-down, cram it down your throat kind of guy. We're going to leave this up to the leadership, and we're going to leave this up to the membership, and the membership will be making that decision. Do I believe we should pass a budget? We should have a fully functioning appropriations process? Of course I do. I think that's very important. But this is a decision we will make jointly as a House Republican caucus.
Can I ask you about Transportation and Infrastructure Chairman Bill Schuster? He's involved, he's romantically involved with the airline industry lobbyist, and he's vacationing with the head of a trade association with a bill in front of his committee. I mean, is it appropriate for him to have these kind of relationships?
I'm just not familiar. I have no comment. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, last month, comprehensive legislation that would bar discrimination against gay and transgender people, known as the Equality Act, got its first Republican co-sponsor in the U.S. House. Given your vote in 2007 for the Employment Non-Discrimination Act, would you be open to allowing this bill to come to the House floor during your tenure as Speaker?
I'm a regular order guy. My position has not changed. I'm a regular order guy. You got to get bills out of committee to get them to the floor.
To kind of bridge the questions that Chad and Jennifer both asked, you have a kind of small but influential group within your conference who are asking you to move forward with a budget that would surely be blocked in the Senate and has no path forward. How do you have this conversation about over-promising and potentially having to under-deliver, or getting yourself in a situation where in July you just have to accept a CR because there's no other option?
Yeah. We're going to have a lot of different budgets. There are always a number of budgets that are to the right of the House Budget Committee product. That's been the case as long as I can remember. So I expect an RSC budget and maybe some other budgets that will be more to the right of what the Budget Committee produces. We do that every single year.
Last
Luke.
question.
You're a studious guy. You are chairman of the convention. There's a lot of delegate scenarios. Have you versed yourself in delegate allocation, and do you plan on doing that?
No, I have not versed myself in it. It's the House rules. I see this as more of a ceremonial role that I have, and no, I'm busy trying to make this place work.
Should
All right, thanks, guys.
address the Apple encryption issue?